Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to be looking at Junk Comics, an underground from 1971. And this is a very interesting underground because to this day, nobody knows who drew this comic. There's no credits inside. And, Comics Book Joint, the website, it's a mystery author. I'm pretty sure this guy never drew another comic again. And it's a damn shame because this is the kind of crazy comic that is the reason why I love undergrounds. It is just inexplicable. It's just bizarre. Very crude, as you can tell by this art. This guy's not going to be winning any art awards. But I love this art. It's just like funny as hell. Just the style makes me chuckle, when I look at the art. This guy's really good. And, but not. He's also really primitive. But it's just great. I mean, this is the kind of shit you find in underground comics. It's this weird stuff that I love. Great logo with the hypodermic making the C here. And just a goofy, weird, funny cover. The inside front cover, we have novelty ad parodies, like every comic had back then. They got a polyethylene baboon ass you could put on your butt. Middle America nose attachment is a pig's nose. Halitosis chewing gum. And we do see an ad for another comic that was gonna come out called Hog Comics. And it's from the same publisher, Dew City Productions. And this never came out. This is the only comic from Dew City Productions. This is the only comic from this artist. So just adding more to the mystery. What happened to this guy? I fear that he got back on heroin and OD'd or something, died young. Because you'd think by now he would have come out and taken credit for this. So we start off with the real truth about junk. And I love this doctor just saying, I wouldn't shit you. So he's basically saying how, recently there's been all these buffoon citizens having press conferences about heroin and what are we going to do about this, societal problem. And he's like, this is irresponsible bullshit. Junk Comics is going to come right to the point with the real facts for you. So first we hear from various vested interests. We see a cop saying, of course this scum represents a grave threat to our society. We see some elderly matronly type saying, absolutely disgusting. We see a congressman saying, says we ought to execute these communist pushers. Everybody knows it's a red Chinese plot to sap our will. We see a radical hippie type, and he says, we must drive the capitalist pig smack dealers from our community. Everybody knows that smack is the main tool of the pigs to sap the will of the people. And then we see this pot-smoking hippie lady saying, I think junkies are pathetic, bad karma. So we have all these people who've never even done heroin and, talking like they're experts on the subject. The weird thing is at this time, what she brings up is during the Nixon administration, heroin they had a very kind of progressive view about heroin addiction. It was a crime, but it was treated more like a disease. They set up methadone clinics all over the country. So the main reason was so junkies would stop robbing people's TV sets and breaking into people's houses to support their habit, because it gets expensive to be a junkie. So instead of that, these junkies, instead of just being thrown into jail to rot, they were given treatment as if they had a disease. And they'd get their methadone, once a week or whatever it was. So kind of interesting that during Nixon, that was the policy. I kind of wish they kept that policy. They also talk about this interesting thing where I guess there was a drug that just came out then called Naline, which would, if you were on heroin, it would induce an instant withdrawal, which isn't a good thing for the junkie, but doctors could then determine whether further rehabilitation is required. So this was a new thing at the time. I think it's not in use anymore. There's easier ways or less harmful ways to do this. Look at this art here. It's just like this guy looks like he just learned how to draw. And maybe this is the first time he even tried a comic. But I gotta say, I don't know why I find it so appealing. It's just pretty funny and goofy. I just really like this art. And it's interesting, though, because then he also says, yeah, I realize junkies have a lot of faults. Junkies have no shame. They'll nod out in public. They lie constantly. They're the most ungrateful people on earth. Anyone who tries to help them is treated as a mark or a sucker. Some junkies take on schizoid tendencies. Some have paranoia. Many have no self-esteem. And, this one is just... This is one of the gnarliest things I've ever seen in an underground comic. When deprived for a length of time, junkies become absolutely rabid. They'll do anything to get high. Junkies stealing opium suppository from dying grandmother's asshole. Oh, God. So then he has this kind of mock call to arms saying, junkies unite. We have to, stand up for our rights. He even makes this like logo for the movement. Junkie liberation. And we see these revolutionaries. Instead of holding a gun, she's holding a total hypo. As I look through this, you can totally tell that this guy, probably was a fan of Zap comics. Because I see so much Crumb. I see some S. Clay Wilson. I see some Spain. It's a lot of the Zap artists are kind of represented in here. So now we have Niall Scarge down at the used memory lot. And this is a fake commercial for a place that sells used memories. So this guy Niles is kind of like a used car dealer, kind of like a Sharpie. And he's basically like, come on down, get rid of your old unwanted memories and buy some new ones that other people aren't using. Kind of a clever idea. Here's a little sign that this guy's maybe hasn't made many comics. I've never seen a word balloon do this before. Where it becomes like a wig or a helmet on this guy's head. Because he obviously had too much to say and didn't have the room in this panel. But it's pretty sharp writing, pretty good parody of those kind of used card commercials. He's all like hawking his stuff. He's like, we got primal memories. We got good associations. We got nostalgia. We've even got reptile memories. And then at the end, he's like, and now back to roller derby. Just a total non sequitur. And I don't know why it made me chuckle. I can't explain it. It's not funny, but it's daffy. Next, we have Hooked. Junkies ain't the only addicts. And this is kind of an old saw, some people are addicted to money, some to television. We see Richard Nixon, who's addicted to power. It appears like he's farting out the words more. And, he basically says the problems with addiction, any kind of addiction, is it starts dictating your actions. And that's the shitty thing about any addiction, Street dealing man. There's a little tale about this cool hippie heroin dealer. And once again, I can't explain it. I know this guy isn't a great artist, but I like this art. It just looks great to me. So he's doing really great. He's making lots of money, but then the cops nab him. They're onto him. They take him down to the station and totally do this blatant good cop, bad cop thing. And so the hippie's onto them. He's just like, hey, man, what is this, a B movie? So the tough cop's like, oh, wise guy. Well, we're going to throw you in the tank. And then he's obviously going through withdrawals. And these two cops are like, as entertainment, are watching the guy puke up his guts. One of them's like, let me see. Pretty weird comic. Joe Junkie swears off again. This comic I actually found quite profound. I think it really captures any, any addiction you have. That whole process of feeling so stalwart and feeling like I'm going to do this, and then just how that drips away. And, in a few hours, you're just like, fuck this shit. I'm doing the thing I'm not supposed to do. So we see Joe, and he's telling himself, just one more taste. This is the last time I ever do heroin. But I just need one more taste, and then I'm quitting for good. This is his last shot. And 15 minutes after he shoots up, he's like, what the fuck did I do that for? Gotta quit this stuff. Killing myself. I'll never shoot junk again. 2 hours later, junk is such a drag. 4 hours later, he's nodding off. 16 hours later, he's starting to feel a little uptight and restless. And he's thinking about the plunger. And then 24, 30 hours after his last shot, he's sweating profusely. And after 36 hours, his resolve has completely collapsed. And he's absorbed with the thought of junk to the point of hallucinating. And he sees this walking hypo. But then his superego shows up. This is the guy from the cover. I don't know why he's got those weird little things on his head. And he basically says, don't even think about it. You're no heroin for you. And all Joe can think of is like, shit, how do I get around this guy? He doesn't even want to listen to his own superego. And he's trying to plead with him, oh, come on, one last hit, and then I'll quit for sure. Of course, the superego's heard that before. And Joe's just like, what am I going to do? And then all of a sudden, the superego just starts shrinking until it's this little guy. And Joe laughs at him, kicks him out of the way, and goes to score. I thought this was so interesting because I felt this before. When I was younger, I actually tried to diet. I've long since given up. But I used to try, and I'd have so much resolve. I'd be like, I'm doing it this time. I'm sticking to this diet. And I'd feel like I was so doing it. And then, I don't know, a bad thought would enter my head. And then I would all of a sudden just be like, no, I could order a pizza. But there would be this voice in my head kind of, it's like, no, what are you thinking? That's totally not what you're supposed to be doing. And then that voice would just shrink down to nothing. And it would be like, I needed to hear no, but all I was hearing was yes, yes, yes after the superego goes away. And I'm just like, there's no good reason why I wouldn't order a pizza. I can't even imagine why I wouldn't. And you somehow convince yourself, and then you order that pizza and you eat it, and then you're like, oh, why did I do that? So he goes to get the junk, he scores, comes home, shoots up, and then, of course, 15 minutes later, now what did I do that for? Gotta stop taking junk. So, of course, that's the end, but it's not the end, unfortunately. Now, this is my favorite. This story is so amazing, but it's so stupid. It's called Geek Depot, Scenes from the Transactional Sewer. It says, down at the terminal, and is it ever? And look at this art. It's totally like the walls are dripping. Everything's wiggly and wobbly, as if it's a hallucination. This is a total lethargically drenched comic. I love this kind of shit. This is my favorite kind of underground comic. It's not really understandable. He's got all these mutants walking around, all these weirdos, cartoon characters. I like this guy. It looks like his mind is literally being blown out of his skull. This guy, too, I don't know, it looks like eggs are popping out of his brain. Some kind of little op art shit going on. He starts mutating. This guy's got a frog tongue. He slurps up a fly. And then he picks his nose with his tongue. This is just some high surrealism going on. In the restaurant at the depot, there's junkies eating mush. Or some kind of porridge or whatever. I don't know why I thought this was so weird and interesting. For no good reason, he zooms in on the porridge. and then zooms back out. The junkie's nodding off. The porridge is spilling onto the table. This waiter comes out. And this guy zaps someone with a mind blast. This guy who looks like a roach. This is just craziness. Oh, I love this stuff here, this kind of psychedelia. All of a sudden, this guy's got Mickey Rat's nose. Oh my God, this lady's just such a weird, repulsive thing. She's got giant, sagging boobies on her cheeks, where cheeks should be. Just so fucking weird. This is insane. I love this guy here. He's got like the shelf face. It's like a terrorist face. That's just so weird looking. A fight breaks out. And then it just ends with the bartender saying, snort, that's it, grunt. And that's the comic. This is just, I can't explain why, guys. I just love this comic so much. It's so good, even though it's not. Oh my God, my comic's falling up. My comic's falling apart. This is a junk comic. This is a junker comic. That just ripped off the corner. This cover is about to come off. Like when I was reading it last night, I had to be really careful. So I kind of like this page too. It says, how much longer are you going to support this pig? Here are the facts. The only reason Mr. Big exists is to service addicts. He'll stand up there with all his dead weight on you as long as we keep taking the shitty hands out. And we see suffering humanity. So this is kind of about just society, capitalism. But I felt that way too when I started smoking. Now I don't even like smoking. It's just a sick habit. I'm a smoker, but I used to love smoking, and I just got so much pleasure from it. But I always was pissed off that I was supporting these pieces of shit, cunty cigarette companies, just the worst scum in the world. And it always bothered me. But I couldn't stop smoking. But I hated the fact that this was me. It still is me. But, I was kowtowing to these utter bastards. And then we have Otis Outfit. He gives us a little bit of advice. Or he gives a little, basically, ad for the comic. While you're deciding why not read Junk Comics, the comic that gets down to the point with no fucking around. It's a very kind of crumb-looking guy. And this is kind of like the mission statement of this comic. Junk Comics is not just another do-gooder's idea to combat the junk problem. Most of these people out to help junkies are more fucked up than most junkies themselves. Junk Comics neither solicits nor prints the opinions of so-called celebrities who know next to nothing about junk, yet are willing to comment on the subject for the right price. This kind of thing is obviously just a lot of bullshit. And it's so interesting to see this point of view. You rarely see this. Usually like anti-drug comics or any kind of anti-drug message, there's people like Nancy Reagan saying, just say no. It's like, you don't fucking know anything about how we live. It's like, why are we listening to you? But hearing this guy who's obviously is a junkie or an ex-junkie, just telling us the hard facts and like what it's like there in ground zero, but with the sense of humor to it and just a sense of craziness to it, I just think this is very valuable. And I would listen to this more than some pamphlet, some bullshit pamphlet, so very interesting comic. And just another reason why I love underground comics. So many underground comics were like, yeah, sex, drugs, rock and roll, especially drugs. Very pro-drugs, making drugs seem awesome. But, then there was comics like this that were like, this guy was looking around and seeing a lot of his friends and himself getting destroyed by this shit. And he was just like, yeah, well, I'm going to make a comic about that. So, really cool. And I also think it's interesting that, he brings up all the faults of junkies in those first few pages we were talking about. And as I was reading, I was like, well, this shit is all true. I mean, I have known junkies. I have never been one. But they can become pretty shitty people, and they usually do. Junk really does take over everything. And one of the first things that chucks out of your brain is ethics and morality. And of course, I've known a few junkies that weren't like that, but they were rich and they didn't have to steal, and they kept getting their heroin. But enough of me blabbing. Junk comics by some mystery artist. Maybe we'll never know who drew this. We probably never will. Hope you guys like looking at this. I'm sure some of you didn't. For those of you with more refined taste than me, but I love this shit, and I can't really explain why, and I don't care. But yeah, I highly recommend this to people who are cavemen like me. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you next time here at the Herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies.